We're live.
Is the camera on me? Is the camera on me? Ah! 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 Give me a foul call. Come on.
All right.
Skip, did I kick you in the balls at that point?
Is that supposed to be LeBron or
Could be any white girl in a horror movie.
I thought it was Kyrie begging out of Brooklyn, but that's just me.
Hey, we'll get into that after. But good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, whatever time it is for you right now. Just know that you are locked in To The Point with
Skip.
and the King. You guys know what to do. Go find us. Apple, Spotify, Amazon. Listen to us while you're walking, driving, whatever. You guys can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Hopefully right now, which is where you're watching us. So go down there, click subscribe, click like, leave a comment. We'll get back to you. We appreciate you guys for all your support over the last 4 years. Everybody that's been with us through this hellacious ride from the Toronto Raptors from when they won their championship till now. And we appreciate you guys supporting our fantastic guests
From
and
the top all the way to the bottom.
loving our new guests that come on, especially my man, JD Quirante. How are you doing today, brother? And if you have any plug, let the people know where to find you, man.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. JD Quirante, Raptors HQ. I normally cover Raptors 905 games, and it's my first time here on your show. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you. The pleasure is all ours. The pleasure is all ours for you joining us. Skip, what up, bro?
Just the usual. I'm trying to stay out of this cold. We got the coldest day of the year so far out there. Haven't been outside today, so I'm filming a podcast instead.
Damn, it's minus 30. Me as a smoker going outside, dude, it's not good. Anyway, speaking of smoke, there's been a little bit of smoke here, okay? Apparently, as of this recording, we have just recently seen the All-Star picks for the All-Star game. Now, there has been a lot of smoke because you guys as Toronto Raptors fans, me not, but as you guys as Toronto Raptors fans, I'm gonna start with you, JD, and I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on Pascal Siakam? And I'm telling you as unbiased, being a snub from what he has put in with work this season.
So you're telling me that a 25, 8, and 6 that plays hard in defense is not an all-star. Do you guys know
First time ever.
Yeah.
First time ever.
Yep. Do you guys know who the other players are that's putting similar stats? LeBron James, all-star. Nikola Jokic, all-star. Luka, all-star. Giannis, I'm not going to say the last name, all-star. That's the company right there, right? If we had a better record, let's say 7th or 8th, there's no doubt that the coaches would vote for him. There's no way Julius Randle, DeMar DeRozan, like those two guys, there's no way they should be ahead of him. Like these guys only play on one side of the court, right? I mean, I love DeMar. Like I really love him. I have his jersey. I have everything that's like DeMar related. But he's not putting up crazy stats offensively to justify the 1-game lead in the standings so that they would say, oh, like the Bulls have a winning record or like have a better record compared to the Raptors. So like Pascal got snubbed. And I'll leave it there.
Skip, why did Pascal get snubbed?
Well, I think there's some really good reasons why it happened. I think the first thing is obviously the team record. We're all going to go and look at the team record. The team is, I believe, 6 games below right now. I'm not sure what the number is right this second.
As of this recording, yes.
But yeah, they're 6 games under 500. They're not playing to a level that we expected. And again, like if Pascal had these numbers on even on like a 6 seed, a 7 seed, a 500 seed, I think he gets in pretty easily. But I think once you really start to sink in the standings, you get overlooked, right? You get lumped in with the Orlandos, with the Charlottes. These guys, like, you really have to stand out to make an all-star team if you're playing on a lower seed like that. And obviously, we all know that his numbers are all-star worthy, but there's only 12 spots. That's less than one spot per team. It's really, really tough. And the competition this year just was especially really, really tough in the front court, right? You look at it, you had 4 MVP candidates in the front court. Obviously, Tatum, Embiid, Giannis, and KD. So you had 3 of them were going to make the starting team, which meant that one of them was going to automatically get pushed to the reserve team. So you already got your 5 starters and 1 reserve. That's 6 players. Then you got to throw in some guards there. So when you look at the front court at the All-Star team, right, the 2 front court players who made it above Pascal are basically Bam and Julius Randle. I think that those are the comps, right? And you look at Julius Randle's numbers, you look at Pascal Siakam's numbers, there isn't a huge difference one way or the other. I can say personally, sure, I think Pascal's upside is better. But you look at things like win shares. Julius Randle has more win shares than Pascal this year. Now, partly that's because he's played 10 more games. But again, that's a note that the voters are going to take in favor of Julius Randle. He's played more games. He's got more win shares. He's on a winning team. His numbers are almost exactly the same. He gets more rebounds and not as many assists, but they're very similar numbers. And then you look at Bam, and Bam, again, like, he's a guy who plays on a winning team. Now, his numbers are not up to the standard of like a Julius Randle or Pascal Siakam, but he's a guy who plays defense, right? And that's sort of his calling card. And again, if Pascal was on the team that was I think 5 games over 500, and Bam was on the team that was 6 games under 500, I think that's not an argument. I think Pascal beats Bam easily in that scenario. But you got to understand with the records being what they are, and there being so much competition. Now you can, like you said, I think he probably could have made it over a guy like DeMar or even a guy like Drew Holiday, but then you're competing with other guards, right? Because now people are up in arms because James Harden didn't make it, or because Darius Garland didn't make it, or because Trey didn't make it. So I think the better comparison is like, should he have made it over Bam? Should he have made it over Julius Randle? And as much as I think Pascal has had an all-star season, I think there's an argument for each of those guys over Pascal.
Guys, can I weigh in?
Sure.
But before I do, can we take a timeout?
Mm-hmm.
Like to give a shout out to WeDoLaundry.ca. Right now, it's the coldest day of the year in the city of Toronto. And if you guys want to look as fresh as your boy over here, you know what I mean? You guys go to WeDoLaundry.ca. They come to your door, they pick up your clothes, they wash, they fold, they dry, they bring it back unscathed. And if you use the promo code to the point, you get 5% off. And it's a great service. Skip and I have used it. It's very enjoyable and very convenient. Okay. And there's multiple methods of payment. You guys can, it's absolutely good. We'd like to thank them for sponsoring the show today. Now, speaking of sponsorship, I'm sponsoring Pascal right now. Like, I'm about to go protest. Okay? I'm about to go down the street and riot. Okay? And break some stores and stuff. Because honestly, I won't do that. I seriously won't do that. You guys know me. But, just figuratively speaking. But Pascal should be on this all-star squad. Skip, you just mentioned Bam, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just mentioned Drew Holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Pascal has better numbers, and he's way more valuable to his team. Because if you were to take Pascal out of the equation from the Toronto Raptors lineup, where would they stand? What did you say, Skip? 6 games under? Yeah. Where would they stand? They'd probably be 12 to 15 games under.
Based on win shares, I think he's got 4 or 5 win shares. So, yeah.
With this absence, it'll be less. That's basically my point. I'm not giving you an exact number, but that it would basically be less. And he should be given the recognition that he deserves and the credit that he deserves. But the problem is, Skip, you and I have, over the last 4 years, this is our 4th time doing this all-star talk, and you hate it. and I agree with. I've come to the point where I've agreed with you, where it's a popularity contest. Where like
I
why
wouldn't
is
say
LeBron
I
the
wouldn't
team
say I
captain?
hate the voting. I would say I hate the game itself.
You just hate it, okay?
Yeah.
But basically, it's become a popularity contest. Hence, LeBron becoming team captain when he shouldn't be. It should be Jokic. But that's neither here nor there. But it's also what I've seen is the all of us here above the 50-second parallel. We see Pascal for who he is. The American media does not see Pascal for who he is, and they do not see what he has been doing for the Toronto Raptors. Now,
Can I
honestly,
say one thing on that subject?
go.
So when I went to hoopsrumors.com to click on the All-Star reserves were announced, I already knew that Pascal wasn't going to make the team because I'd already seen the headline or whatever. I read through that article and then they go into the snubs and they don't even mention
Well,
Pascal as a snub.
that skip. That's where I'm going with this
Yeah,
one.
go off
So
because
now,
that got me hot. Like him missing the team was a little bit annoying, but that was like, come on, it's not even a snub.
okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Don't get wet right now. Don't get hard right now on me.
yeah.
So what my question to you guys is, there were other multiple snubs on the All-Star game. Now, if we run through them, there's Trey, there's Devin Booker, there's multiple players, especially Pascal. Who do you guys think is the biggest snub when it comes down to the All-Star game? And by the way, shout out to Scotty Barnes for making the Rising Stars game again. Who wants to go first?
JD, you want to go on that?
JD,
Like
hit
like
me up, man.
irrespective, like it doesn't matter like which conference or position.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. I guess for me it's Darius Garland. Like I thought that he played really well. And like I guess against the Raptors, like he looks like an all NBA point guard, right? But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean this team, like the Cavs team, like they go as far as like their two guards would take them, right? And Garland's been playing amazing. He also plays like he's been playing better defense as well. And like when I was like making my own list on who would make in the East, like I was like easily I would put this guy in there.
Interesting. Any other snubs that you see? Skip?
Well,
JD?
I'm just looking into the numbers. There were just a lot of really good guards this year. Darius Garland was one, but I don't think Darius Garland has as good a case as James Harden or Trae Young.
Yeah.
I think those two are probably more likely to jump. But again, like I would put those guys in over DeRozan. I would put them over Drew Holiday. I'm not really sure that they would take the front court spot away from Bam. I guess technically Jaylen Brown's a front court player too, but I mean I think he was going to make the team either way. So yeah, it's just there's just not a lot of spots on this team. There's probably about 16 or 17 guys who are having all-star seasons in the East alone. And I didn't even get into the West yet. Obviously AD is a big snub in the West. I haven't looked too much into the Western Conference.
Sean DeGlass always getting injured. Come on. No.
Well, Fox would be a big one out.
Oh,
of the
Fox.
West.
Yeah, sorry, that's my bad. Sorry.
Mhm.
Fox is the big name that hasn't really that's been getting a lot of the attention.
I actually saw some tweet earlier where like Triple J, he basically has the same amount of minutes as AD.
Yeah.
And AD didn't make it and Triple J's in there.
Well, it's funny because like these games played things are all over the map, right? It's like Zion barely plays at all, but he gets it. And then like you got some guys in the East that even Kyrie, like he missed a bunch of time. And now, I mean, well, now the whole situation since the teams have been announced, but yeah, it's kind of all over the map, like name value, team record. There's just a lot of really, really qualified guys. I'm not even that upset about the whole thing. I do think, as I mentioned, the fact that he didn't even get listed as a snub is a bit ridiculous. But the fact that he missed the team, one thing we didn't really get into about Siakam is as great a year.
I was just going to ask you, Skip, that I know where you're going with this one.
I wanted to go back to Siakam. Sorry.
Do you think that the record reflects Pascal's choice?
Pascal not getting chosen, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I already said that in the open. But I was going to say we could put some of it on Nick Nurse, right? Because I think the fact that Pascal has been playing so many minutes has kind of driven not his averages down, but there is this question of fatigue, right? Because if you look at his January numbers, I saw some people over the month of January saying like Pascal might actually be playing himself out of this All-Star team because his usage was down, his numbers across the board were down, his points, his rebounds, his assists, his shooting was down
because
quite
he's
a bit
playing so many minutes.
because he's exhausted,
Yeah.
obviously. Like, so I mean, and his numbers are still great. Don't get me wrong. His usage is still high. But as far as this kind of all league player that he was looking like for the first 2 months of the season, speaking of which, the fact that he didn't make this All-Star team means that he's still made more All-NBA teams than he has All-Star teams. So that's something to watch down the line. And if he has a good second half of the season, maybe he can make another All-NBA team and make it just a ridiculous ratio. But yeah, I think I do wonder how much his kind of quote-unquote slump in January plays into that. And I wonder how much of that slump is due to him just being tired. And yeah, it'd be good for him to get a rest over the All-Star weekend.
I mean, it's obvious. He's starting to look like
yeah.
Bubble Siakam right now.
Yeah.
You know what, JD, before you get in depth into this, I just got to bring up an interesting thing for you guys that currently Pascal not getting on the All-Star team, he's ineligible for a Supermax contract when it comes up. I saw that stat.
Oh, I hadn't looked that up yet, but that
Isn't
sounds
that
right.
supposed to be for all NBA?
Yeah, because he can't become All NBA, therefore he cannot be.
No, he can still make All NBA. I don't know. Something might be based on All Star. I haven't looked into the.
I don't think he's got an
contract.
incentive to make the All Star.
It has to do with All Star, so that can also throw another wrench into the Raptors locker room, like we've been speaking to nauseum, Skip, for the last 4 weeks. So, JD, do you have any other thoughts about possible All Star snubs? Maybe even Pascal. You're the guest in our home. So
just going back to Pascal, like he, he did what he's supposed to do, but the organization failed him. The front office failed him by surrounding players that Nick Nurse would play. I mean, this is not the first year that they have Nick Nurse coaching the team. So, like we have last year and the year before, where they know the types of players that Nick Nurse would play, but like Masai wants to win, but like he surrounded these guys with dev guys, developmental guys, right? Like, what is Nick Nurse gonna do? I mean, like we see what's happening every time. Like he would play those end of the roster guys, right? So like he's got no choice but to ride the core guys hard, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I don't blame Nick Nurse, because he is like his fingerprints are all over why like Pascal looks like Bubble Siakam right now. But yeah, I mean, as a whole, this organization failed Siakam, right? Like I'm not sure if you guys have seen Siakam's interview when he was asked earlier about the snub, and like he looks like distraught.
Oh, he went into the season expecting to be a top 5 player.
Mhm.
Those were his words. Now, speaking of possible top 5 players, guys, we don't have much time left. So I just wanted to ask you guys one last thing before we get out of here. Skip, you alluded to earlier. Mr. Flat Earth wants out of Brooklyn? He really does? Are you serious?
Of course, man.
Okay.
This is just a drama. This is like a drama circle. Like it just keeps building and building and building.
Yeah. He's a product of LeBron. You got to cry and whine and whatever.
But it's not. It's like there's second trade request. There's the KD trade request. There's the firing the coach. There's everything. This is just a disaster. Like they could have been good this year. They are good this year. But anyway,
I got two questions for you guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Number one is, why would he want out? And number two, where would he go?
Why is because he's Kyrie and he's mad that he didn't get the extension, but it doesn't take much to get him mad. He's a pretty much a maniac. I know good words for Kyrie. As far as where, we all know where. The reports are now Phoenix and Dallas are going to get involved, but we all see the Lakers deal. There's a pretty obvious Lakers deal out there for Russell Westbrook and the pick. I cooked up a little scenario where they throw in a guy like Joe Harris to make the money work and give the Lakers a bit more shooting. I don't know if the Nets would actually want to do that. But yeah, there's a way for the Nets and Lakers to come together if the Nets are really just going to say, okay, we're going to do this. Now they can just say, no, we're not going to trade you. We're just going to let you walk at the end of the season. And they'll probably win a lot of games and they'll probably make the playoffs and be a threat in the playoffs, even with Kyrie getting ready to walk. It's really up to what the Nets want to do over the next week and if they want to submit to this trade request. But if they do, I think the only place you can go is LA.
JD, I would love to hear your thoughts on Mr. Flat Earth.
Well, it's all about Kyrie, right? Like it's all about like what he wants. Like he's not a team player, so this is not a surprise. I was actually like in a way I was waiting for something like this to happen, right? Because it's been so quiet for a long time. Like this man doesn't want peace, right?
No.
But at the same time, I don't think he's gonna go to the Lakers. Obviously, it's up to the Nets front office on where they want to trade him. If anything, I actually think he might end up with Dallas. It comes down to whether Mark Cuban would, like open his wallet, because like Kyrie would go anywhere as long as they would give him that extension, right? And Dallas has the better combination of potentially opening up the wallet and to like trade assets to go back to the Nets, because we all know that Kyrie wants to go to the Lakers, and if I'm the owner, if I'm Joe, I would want to stick it to him and say, you're not going to the Lakers. You're
Sure.
going where I would, trade you to.
I would do the same.
I think I'm just gonna answer that real quick. I think most of the teams in the league don't want anything to do with Kyrie. I think 27 of the teams in the league are just like, that guy's a cancer. I don't want to touch him. The teams that are willing to do it are the teams that are in this really specific bind where they have a superstar and no way to get better. And I think that's LA and Dallas. So I think I can see the Dallas trade for sure. But I think I still think there's a way to make LA work with the Westbrook money.
Yeah.
JD, you keep going with the Dallas idea? I'm very curious and intrigued.
Well, like they have the picks and some assets to match the contracts, right? But like the most important part there is Kyrie, based on what he's saying, based on the reports, right? He's willing to go as long as the other team would be willing to give him the extension.
Yeah, this whole thing might be leverage. It might just be leverage to try and get Brooklyn to cave and give him the extension. That's the other thing that might be in play here.
Honestly, I don't understand this guy. Like you tried to form that team with KD, and now you just want to walk. And you guys got Steve Nash fired, that they purposely brought in. They sent all these picks away. They got nothing. They're decimated for the next couple of years just for you and KD to play basketball together. You know what I mean? I just think it's a load of bullshit.
So the only thing with Dallas, I'm just to jump in. I just now, like in 30 seconds, did the trade. They can include like Hardaway and Bertans to make the money work, but Brooklyn's not going to want to take on a bunch of long-term money in that trade. They're going to want an expiring, which is why I think Westbrook would be much more appealing to them. Unless it's a player they really, really desire. But I don't know that that's coming knocking on the door.
Okay. Great points, guys. Great points. Can I just give you guys the floor for the next few minutes? JD, since you're a guest in our home, do you have anything to say, anything to bring up at all? I don't care if it's the rose is not growing right now because it's so dang cold outside in Toronto. All right,
Well,
go for it, man.
Well, I'll
The
tell you
floor
what.
is yours.
I'll keep it short and simple. Like, I love that Kyrie disturbed the peace and quiet heading down to the last few days of the trade deadline. What this does for us is it opens up the KD trade talk to the Raptors again. So I'm actually excited for for something like that. I'd rather see that than what we've been regurgitating for the past few days about the OG and Fred and Gary Trent Jr. trades.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. Skip, make it quick, bro.
I was just going to say the KD trade made sense when the Raptors were a 48-win team trying to get better. Now that they're a lottery team, I don't think there's any chance the KD trade happens here. And yeah, I've said what I want to say about Kyrie, so yeah, let's call it.
Okay. JD, thank you so much. You guys could find him. JD Quirante on Twitter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great mind, great basketball mind, very smart. No, the pleasure's all mine, dude. Like, I love hearing what you got to say. You guys can find Skip at Dougie J's on Twitter, messaging on the live feeds after each Raptors game. You guys can find me at King Hussein on social media platforms. You guys, but more importantly, find us on Apple, Spotify, Amazon. Just to listen while you're driving, chilling with your kids. Maybe they might hear this. Just bleep out the bad words when we say them. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube right now, which is hopefully where you're watching us. Show us some love, give a little sub, give a little comment, give a little like, whatever you want. We're doing this here for you guys. Skip and I have been doing this for how many years, Skip?
4.
There we go. That's the key number. So we will be back soon. We will be coming back with a trade deadline primer. We'll be coming back with the trade deadline post-trade deadline. We will be coming back with you guys for your Toronto Raptors, just to cover and touch the temperature, just to see what's going on with your Toronto Raptors. And we're here all year. We're here every week. You guys know where to find us. So on behalf of JD, thank you again, my friend. Thank you. It's a pleasure. And Skip, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night, and
Peace.